What is up, guys? Welcome back to Scene Invaders Podcast, episode 404. I'm Chad. I don't think I introduced myself last week. We know this is hit or miss by now, but yes, I'm Chad, guys. And this week, as you will notice, we are missing Brad. Personal reasons, life happens, and Brad sadly is not with us tonight. But we do have the lovely Carly back.
Us. It sounds
Okay,
like
right, no, that's not with us.
He's not with us tonight.
Missing.
Not tonight.
He's laying Canadian wood, guys. He's alive and well, but he's just not here tonight. Laying Canadian wood. That's
He's
always
no
going to be the
longer
excuse
with
for
us.
Brad.
Jeez.
So, it is a Halloween themed episode, so I mean, why not, guys? God, that
Go
sounds
for
so
it.
bad. He's with us, but he's not with us. So we'll
That's
leave
right.
it at that. But we do have Carly back, Intel Dork from Twitter. We're so excited to have her back. Carly, how are you doing tonight?
Great. Thanks again for having me back.
Of course. Oh my gosh. Yeah. You and I know we have had a couple of conversations this week about having to hear your own voice back and getting used to that. And all
Oh
of that
God,
kind of
it's so
stuff. And,
mortifying.
I'll tell you, I promise that it just gets easier every time. And you just get to the point where I tweeted it earlier this week. I've moved into the acceptance phase of what I sound like, and I'm okay with it. And it'll be a non-issue in the future for sure. And Mr. Coach, how are you, sir?
Hello, eh? Figured
Okay, right. You got to throw an A in.
I'll carry the maple for today.
Yes. I know last week that we promised that we were going to have some Halloween recommendations, but we got into quite a discussion about the substance, and for your guys' sake and ours for time, we were like, let's go ahead and cut that, and we'll maybe move that to next week, and that's exactly what we're doing. So we're going to go through, of course, what we watched for the last week, and then at the end hit you with some of our go-to like Halloween media, movies, TV, music, whatever it might be. And this week I feel confident we're actually going to get there, guys. So for what we watched this week, we are starting with Carly because Coach and I have a little bit of overlap. So we got a little bit of a small group discussion between he and I. So we're going to let Carly take the lead on this one. And then I know I've seen at least one of the things she has, and I'm very curious to hear her take on it.
All right. So the first thing that I watched this week was Milk and Cereal. And I actually watched this after Chad's recommendation from last week. And it's free to watch on YouTube. I really enjoyed it. Kind of reminded me of Creep.
Yeah, I can see that. Creep is great. I'm a huge fan of Creep. There's actually a Creep TV series coming, which I think is interesting.
Oh, I heard about that.
But yeah, like, I mean, I think like I said last week, you can tell that this was almost like made by YouTubers in a way, and not exactly in the best way with some of the editing and stuff, but overall, like the story and kind of the tone they went for and all of that, it works pretty well, right?
Oh yeah, I mean the character is genuinely creepy as well, so
Yes.
I
And you
found that pretty effective.
It is kind of interesting because you never know exactly where they're going with any of this, because it does revolve around that prank show, and you're kind of asking yourself throughout this whole entire thing, like, is this just a more elaborate version of a prank, or is this real, or what's going on? That's kind of what kept me locked into it.
I mean, I feel like it lets you know pretty soon, but yeah, it definitely keeps you locked in because you're like, well, wait a minute, because then it just ends up revealing another layer, as you're watching it, kind of like how Strange Darling did. I mean, obviously to that extent, but it just kind of reminded me how it changed the perspective now.
Gotcha. And see, like, even for me, like, after you kind of see what's going on with, I don't know the characters' names, guys, forgive me, but the main, like, the blonde guy, the guy who is not good. Yeah. Even after, like, you start to see kind of what he's up to and what he's doing, I still was not totally certain, because I was like, man, this could just really be like elaborate pranking.
Oh, you mean Milk? I'm sorry.
Yeah, Milk. Yeah.
Seven is his friend. Sorry.
Yeah, Milk. So yeah, I was just like, man, are they just really setting up like really one of the most like elaborate pranks ever? Or is he really like fucking he's crazy and this is crazy? But I thought it was interesting, and I thought the ending was pretty bleak and dark.
Yeah, it was gaslighting 101, basically.
Yeah, gaslighting 101, facts.
The whole short. It was, yeah.
So the
And
guy
yeah.
who played Milk, he wrote and directed the whole thing?
Mhm.
Yes.
Wow.
And honestly, like, I think you would be okay with it, Coach. Like, this is not. I
We
mean, I would
have to
think
put the coach warning on.
no, I like. No, I
We're
like it.
almost out of the bad month for
Might
me.
Well, no, there are so many people
Aw.
like you too, and that's why I always feel like I have to do it because it's just like I would love to cross people over into more stuff like this, but things that are like appropriate for people who are not exactly that's not their genre or whatever.
Right.
And this
Like-
is something I
like-
think you could appreciate to an extent. Like you may not love it, but I don't think you would like go to bed and like not sleep over it for sure.
Really, I am more of a suspense, Silence of the Lambs, Seven, and even presumed innocence. I was a little wary due to the nature of the trailer. But anytime it goes supernatural is when I'm like, and I'm out.
Coach is like, so long legs for Coach. He was like, I read the synopsis on that shit, and I ain't fucking with long
You're
legs
like,
at all. Because he had thought about going to see it because of the Silence of the Lambs comparisons. And
Yes.
immediately when I left the theater that night, I texted the
Fair.
boys and I was like,
You're like, nope,
abort, Coach, don't do it. Don't go see this movie. You're not.
you
gonna
won't like it.
That's
funny.
Stuff just really sticks with me. So like anything, especially with like dolls or objects or anything that I can catch out of the corner of my eye,
Mhm.
there's an old wives' tale in Appalachia. So the Appalachian Mountains of basically, if you ever hear anybody screaming or for help or anything, and you're in the woods, you go. You don't. You
don't have
just
to tell me
get
why.
out of there.
I'm
The
out,
whole
bitch.
skinwalker motif and all that.
Yeah.
Like, nope. Yeah.
No, I feel you, dude, for sure. But Milk and Cereal.
Well, dude,
like,
I feel like
you-
you'd really like it then, especially if you like Silence of the Lambs and stuff.
Yeah.
I mean,
Oh,
it's
yeah.
kind of like a, yeah, I think you'd like it then.
It almost has more like thrillery elements than it does horror. It's like kind of a found footage thriller with horror adjacent elements.
And this is on YouTube, correct?
YouTube. Yep.
Yes.
And I think they've hit over a million views, and there's been just like for horror people, there's been just so much chatter about it. I think just because it did, like, it's on YouTube, it came kind of out of nowhere. It's this hour-long thing that people like and are talking about and would like to see. I think this guy move on to make bigger and better things, and probably after this is the kind of thing that puts your name on the map in a way that you probably can. I would think. But I'm going to assume for you.
Short. I mean, he's done a ton of shorts here. As I'm looking through it, like 10 different shorts, and most of them are pretty well received.
Gotcha.
Yeah, I've heard that. I think The Chair was also supposed to be a really good one, but I haven't watched it myself, so I don't know.
Yeah, I haven't looked through the channel at all, but it kind of reminds me of Kyle Edward Ball, who directed Skinamarink, which I don't know. Have you seen Skinamarink?
I haven't
Carly?
seen it. No, I haven't
Okay.
seen it. I've heard things though.
I love that movie. However, not everyone does, that's for sure. But that guy actually started a YouTube channel as well, and he would actually have subscribers send in like nightmare and dream scenarios that he would like recreate for his channel.
Oh,
And that's exactly what Skinamarink is. It's like an hour and 40 minute, just absolute nightmare.
Oh.
And I'd say that though, and I don't know. It's a hard one to recommend because I know how many I've been drugged by people for loving this movie. Just absolutely drug across Twitter for it, but I like it. I stand by it. It was a 5 out of 5 star movie for me that year. I saw it twice in the theater, and good. But yeah, Kyle Edward Ball. It reminds me of that, where he started on YouTube and is now like moved into making longer form content, like feature films, that kind of stuff. But
And this guy's like a baby too. He's like this 25.
he's got to be like in his 20s. Yeah,
25 years old, and you know,
wow.
like. And I mean, he does have some acting credits, like, you know, he had brief thing on It's Always Sunny, and but he seems to just be one of those writer, director, actor creators. That's awesome.
Yeah, no, I love it too. And hell, we even had like Talk to Me last year, which was an A24 film that was directed by YouTubers, people who started on YouTube just making like shorts or whatever, and then suddenly they bring out like one of the better horror films of last year, I think. And it just shows that it's a platform that can reward creativity as long as you can get eyes on your content and all that kind of stuff. And
Wasn't that what we were promised with the new digital age? And I mean, like, we finally kind of have it this year with like Sean Baker really coming into his own, being like on the top of yeah, I mean, he's been talked about for all the Oscar stuff before the stuff we've already seen, but I mean, he basically came from doing an iPhone movie called Tangerine.
Yeah. No,
I still haven't seen that. I've heard it's really good though. Is that the same guy that did? Is that Red Rocket?
Red Rocket and the Florida Project.
Florida Project.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
The Florida Project is, I think it's amazing. I love it.
I haven't seen that either. I heard it's really good.
And Honora is his upcoming film that it's one of my couple most anticipated for the rest of the year. That and Nosferatu. I'm very excited for it. And it seems like it had a lot of early buzz because of Cannes, but people are like saying, no, it actually it deserves that buzz. So that makes me even more excited for it. So, but I'm going to assume with Milk and Cereal that this is not a buy though, because it is on YouTube. So it's just like send the hoe a link and be like, check this movie out.
Yeah.
Did your husband watch it?
He watched it. Actually, my son kind of watched it with us too. Obviously, we had him look at us during certain scenes because it's a little graphic. But I mean, we all liked it. We all enjoyed it.
You're raising young little horrorlings, and I love it. It's so awesome.
Well, I'm glad you like it because some people get really bent out of shape. They're like,
look at me, I'm perfectly well adjusted, and I saw.
I know, but well, listen, I watched horror movies when I was like 8 years old, so
yeah,
I feel pretty well adjusted as well.
Yeah, the only downside of that is that you become so desensitized to it that I think that it takes a lot to scare you and really get under your skin and stuff. But otherwise, I think being exposed that early was why I love this stuff so much.
But also, it gives you the ability to know the difference between good and bad.
Yeah.
Or I mean, I think the later you get started, you just it's all kind of one thing.
Yeah.
For you to break apart Smile and Smile 2 and all those, that would be something it's horror. I got scared. It did its job.
Yeah. And horror is just different things to different people. Some people are there for jump scares and kind of that, which is not my thing. I'm more about the psychological elements, the things that kind of burrow under your skin and not that cheap, quick jolt.
The truly unsettling.
Yes, the things that stick with me after I see it. A jump scare never sticks with me. Imagery or implied things are what really stick with me, and that's the kind of stuff that truly scares me the most. So. All right, yeah, Milk and Cereal. It's a recommend. I know she recommends it. I recommend it. Dave would recommend it if he saw it, but no, I'm just kidding.
Yeah, sure, why not?
Dave is our by proxy recommendation tonight.
I'm the Paul Abdul of this. Oh, it's
that's
great.
Right. Everything, you're amazing. What else did you watch, Carly?
I also watched Die Alone. And this one stars Carrie-Anne Moss. It has Douglas Smith and Frank Grillo for about 10 minutes. Okay. And it's written and directed by Lowell Dean. It's a low-budget, post-apocalyptic, zombie-type movie where the world has succumbed to a mysterious outbreak. And it's kind of in the vein of The Last of Us, but it follows our main character named Ethan. And he has amnesia. He's looking for his girlfriend, Emma, after being separated from her. And Carrie-Anne Moss plays a rugged survivalist that takes him under her wing to try to find Emma, basically. So this is kind of obviously a lower budget movie, but I really enjoyed it because I really liked how they did the zombie makeup effects were really effective. And I kind of haven't seen anything kind of like that. Kind of the closest thing I would say would be something like The Last of Us, but it's not fungus related, so it's still different. But I really liked it. It was, again, it's practical effects. It's kind of a slower burn, but it's more post-apocalyptic. So you kind of see how people are surviving. I don't know. I really liked it. I don't know if I wouldn't buy it, but I would definitely borrow it from a friend or I'd rent it.
Okay. Gotcha. So is this something that's available right now only just to rent?
I do believe so. I think we rented it on the PlayStation Store for $5.99.
Okay.
So
Did the husband like it?
yeah, he enjoyed it too. He really
Okay.
liked he really liked Carrie Ann Moss and her character.
I think she's always great, man. Like ever since The Matrix, I just love her. I love her on-screen presence always. And I feel like sometimes she's underutilized as an actress. So I would be happy just to see her on screen.
Yeah, well then she's kind of I mean, Ethan is kind of the main character, but she's also heavily involved in it, so she's the second main character basically. So I mean, if you really like her, I would definitely check it out then.
So quick question about this. Is this another kind of example of a zombie movie that leans into like the emotion of everything? I know you've mentioned The Last of Us, which is incredibly emotional. So is this one of those that's not really focused on like zombies attacking you necessarily, but you're kind of meant to grasp onto these human characters involved in this situation where all this horrific shit is like happening around them?
Precisely. It's the
Okay.
latter because
Yeah.
I mean, it's really focusing on, what happened. He's trying to piece together since he's got amnesia. He's trying to find Emma, his girlfriend, and basically trying to figure out what's been going on because in a way, it's kind of like, when they wake up in 28 Days Later or fucking The Walking Dead.
Mhm.
But yeah, no, I really enjoyed it. Like I said, it's more of a slower burn. Like you said, more focuses more on the human drama. Um, but it's got kind of still a very interesting story regarding the virus and kind of where they take that whole bit with the zombies. I really liked the unique spin that they did on it.
Okay.
How
That
did you
sounds
come?
very up my alley. Yeah.
How'd you come across it? Was it like saw the trailer somewhere, or were just kind of doom scrolling, or
Well, actually, I watch another channel. It's called Sinister Cinema Reviews,
okay?
I know who
and
they
it,
are.
it
Yeah.
popped up on there, and they really liked it, or well, at least the main guy who does the channel really enjoyed it. And I was like, oh, well, that sounds like it's kind of right up my alley. So,
Okay.
and it
Yeah.
Gotcha.
was.
Yeah. I'm familiar with the channel for sure.
No,
I
I
check
have
out
I have the trailer up, and like the first zombie with the
I
tree
don't
growing
know
out
if
of his head
Yeah, I
looks
don't
actually
know if
pretty
I'd
cool.
watch the full. Yeah, I don't know if I'd watch the full trailer
Got it.
because I prefer going in as blind
Me
as I
too.
can be. So I even shut off the guy's review halfway through because I
Okay.
was like, okay, I don't
Yeah.
want to know anymore. So,
Yeah.
but
I never
yeah,
watch trailers. Like I'll go into the movies and put noise canceling earbuds in through the trailers. There are a
I
couple
hate
things I'll
it.
watch, like if it's something I know or something that I am very confident they're not going to like completely ruin. But yeah, I avoid that shit at all costs. Then I never watch reviews or anything before I go. But as soon as I get out of that theater, and I've usually posted like my whatever my like out of theater reaction is, I go hard on
I
like I
gotta
gotta see
know.
what
Yeah.
other people think about this, and yeah, I'm into it, man. Anything else new for you this week, Miss Carly?
Let's see here. Okay, actually two more things, but
Yeah,
one
let's go.
very quickly. Bodies, bodies, bodies.
Yes,
Um,
I
so
Pete,
love
I'll
Pete
it.
I'll keep the
Davidson.
Yes.
All right. I'll keep this short and sweet. So you could definitely tell it was written by women, and it didn't take me long to guess the twist and also
Yeah.
realize where the movie was going.
Okay.
So I
That's
would I
fair.
would definitely I would definitely borrow it from a friend, or I would watch it if you could find it for streaming for free. But I wouldn't, buy it.
Gotcha. We just talked about this kind of recently because Rachel Sennett is one of the actresses in it, and she was in Saturday Night.
Mhm.
And
Wait,
as
which
Lorne
one was
Michaels'
that?
wife, Saturday Night. Wait,
Oh no, no, no.
Saturday
Which actress?
Night. Oh God, I don't
She's
know.
Alice.
Okay, I don't. Yeah, I didn't know her name in the movie,
So
but
she
Oh,
she
plays
is.
okay.
She plays Alice in Bodies, Bodies, Bodies.
She's so
Okay.
hilarious. Her line delivery. It's like every Gen Z term you could ever think of that she's just throwing at the screen constantly. And yes, there's a lot of like I called it Twitter speak when I originally saw this movie, but there is. They just like Twitter speak the fuck out of this movie, but it's so funny to me. I thought it was hilarious because I
Yeah,
live
because
online a lot.
yeah. Oh no, I definitely appreciated it.
But yeah, no, it's a fun movie. It is. Is it great? It's not, but it is fun. And actually, this director, the new movie coming out, stars Nicole Kidman called Baby Girl, which is about like an S&M relationship. And
Ooh.
I am a Nicole Kidman stan. I'll watch her do anything, and I cannot wait for this movie. This is a trailer that I did actually watch, and it just had me like salivating for more. I can't wait. Another like one of my highest or most anticipated, I should say, for the rest of the year.
All right. Well, I guess the last thing that I watched was Evil Dead Rise. And
Lit.
yeah, I know I just for the first time watched it.
This is the first time you've seen it?
Yep.
Holy shit, I'm dying to hear about this.
So I feel bad, but I think the reason why I originally avoided it was just because the trailer like showed way too much.
Sure.
And as I'm watching it, I'm just thinking, I was just really upset that so many of the genuinely creepy scenes would have been way more effective had they not been showcased like in the trailer. But yeah, I really overall enjoyed it. And I think especially after the 2013 more serious and obviously super gore-filled version of Evil Dead, I think this was more of I liked that it had kind of more of a nod of the kind of it wasn't slapstick or anything, but it was wicked type kind of like humor, I guess.
Yeah. It bridges the gap between 2013 and then like everything that came before it, kind of. It was a great mix of those two things. And that, I mean, I'm kind of shocked, honestly, that this was originally meant to go to streaming.
Right?
And they decided, they were like, no, this is strong. We're going to release it theatrically. And I'm glad they did, because I thought it was great, man. A good time. The Evil Dead franchise is one of the franchises in horror that there's just really isn't like a bad entry in it. It's one of the more solid franchises for sure.
I agree.
Are the newer ones and like the TV series, are they as director heavy? And what I mean by that is more, are they like Sam Raimi is known for like the crazy zooms and the crazy kind of camera tricks? And
the show definitely.
Okay, the show has that. Then the newer ones, do they kind of showcase that too, or no?
I don't think so much with 2013 and this newest one.
Like, I'm able to get through Evil Dead and Evil Dead 2 because of the campiness of the camera tricks and stuff like that. It kind of it removes the super scary.
Yeah. I think knowing you would not like 2013.
No.
Yeah. And I'm not like Evil Dead Rise.
No. That would give you nightmares.
Yeah.
I mean, I guess the first couple, it's like, okay, well, there's Bruce Campbelling, and
yeah, there's a decidedly like very overtly comic element, I think, to the original like line of films. The 2013 does away with that, I think, almost completely.
Gotcha.
And then this, like, Rise tries to bring it back a little bit, but it's still also it's a lot. It's heavy, man.
It's still very serious. Yeah.
Yeah. So what is it?
I like. Yeah. No, I would definitely buy it.
Yeah. I'm gonna agree with that for sure. I actually haven't seen it. I saw it a couple times when it came out, but not anytime recently. And also, like, while we're on the subject, if you haven't seen it, Carly, I highly recommend. Do you have Shudder?
I do.
Okay. There's a movie on there, if you have not seen it yet, called Infested. And it's a French horror film that's, I guess, I mean, to simply boil it down, it is a creature feature about spiders. But this is a director. Infested, yeah.
Okay, yeah, yep.
Have you seen it?
I have.
Okay, yeah, and that director is actually directing the next Evil Dead film, like one of the next two. I think there are two currently in development, and he is one of the directors. And I could see it.
Wait, is that the same one that did Evil Dead Rising? Isn't it? Oh no,
this was a French film about like the guy in the apartment building with spiders and all that kind of shit.
Okay, yeah. Oh no, I'm saying, was it the same director?
No. This is just someone that they've tapped to like potentially move into the next one. Dead. Yeah.
Gotcha.
And it's a recommend. I really liked it for sure. Any
Yeah,
other
I
new
liked it
releases
too.
before you missed Carly?
No, that was it for me.
Okay, we're moving on to Coach. He's got a mystery surprise, and then we got a couple of crossover things before we move into our Halloween recommendations.
So I didn't know anything about this title. It just kind of popped up, and it's on Netflix. Came out this week. It's called The Remarkable Life of, I believe it's pronounced Ibelin, Ibelin.
Okay.
It's a kind of hybrid. It starts off as a documentary and then goes someplace else. And I'll get into it. So it's about this young man, Matt Steen. He's a Norwegian kid who is he's born with a degenerative muscular disease. So like he starts as a walking, talking young man who has then become chair-bound, and unfortunately his life ends at the age of 25. Hard thing. The parents are interviewed about what it's like to lose a kid, what it's like to you blame yourself if a kid has disabilities and stuff like that. And with his lack of mobility, he lacked the ability to go outside and play and be around friends and stuff like that. So he eventually turned to gaming and got really into World of Warcraft, to the point where like he had a special thing built because he was losing the ability to play a normal keyboard and mouse. So they had a kind of special system built. Upon his death, his parents announced his death because the kid had kind of written a blog, and they knew he was a gamer, but that was about all they knew. They suddenly got inundated with email after email after email about their young man, their son, and the life he lived on World of Warcraft.
Mm-hmm.
The head of the guild that he was in kept track of everything that was said, everything like there's logs of everything that everybody has done in the guild. So what this filmmaker does is they took this log and created a cartoon in the style of World of Warcraft, and for an hour
wow.
it is the life of this kid. And he had a love life, and he labeled himself as a private investigator that would solve problems.
I love it.
And there's this great problem where one of the people in the guild is a lady, and her son is autistic. And she's like, all I want from him is a hug, and it's just something he can't do. And they recommend, well, why don't you try gaming? And so their first ever hug was in the game. And it is just an absolute, like, parents finding out how amazing of a life that their son actually led.
Yeah. This sounds like shit that would make me cry.
Oh,
oh my God.
It is complete, like, what am I doing with my life? This kid did everything. Like,
right.
And there's just all these amazing stories, and the guild they get together every year, and they have a moment of silence within the game, and like it's a huge tearjerker, but it's the way that the documentary is done, where it's real life and then animated, and then like they show you his character in there,
okay,
and just everything that he goes through within the guild. And then upon basically for most part the guild didn't even know that he was.
Dang.
Yeah,
you can be anyone online, man. That's
yeah. And this guy did it the right way, let's say.
Yeah, I feel that.
So there is a great thing of his dad being like, I always, was worried about my son not living a life, and now I come to find, and kind of impressed that he was a womanizer on the. He's like, he had a couple of girlfriends on the. He's like,
a Lothario.
Kind of impressed.
Is this a Netflix original thing?
It is.
Okay, good.
Netflix
Okay,
original.
I think their documentaries are great. Usually.
Yeah, it's really worth it. A lot of fun. Sorry. Go ahead.
And is it a series or is it a movie?
It's just a movie. It's a one-off. It's I
Okay.
believe it's an hour and maybe 40 minutes, but like a
Okay.
lot of it is the animated part, which is impressive.
All right.
Okay. No, that sounds
Just check that
very up
out
my
then.
alley for sure. If I can
Yeah.
sit and cry for an hour and 40 minutes, I'm probably here for it. Like, we know how I roll at this point. I'm like poor and I like to cry. So
Speaking of segue, Chad, what did you see?
yeah, no kidding. I'm not going on in order this week, guys. So I saw a couple new things this week, and I know Coach saw the same. The first one I'm going to talk about is We Live in Time, directed by John Crowley and starring Florence Pugh and Andrew Garfield. I knew going into this movie that this was probably going to be something that hit me in a very emotional way just because of my personal life. And for some reason, I don't know what's wrong with me. I often find that very cathartic to sort of face darkness that I've kind of been through and come out the other side of it. And this is like I'm going to call it a romantic dramedy. I think that's just the best descriptor I can think of about a couple that meets, forms a life together, has children, all out of like sequence. It's all like non-linear storytelling. And it's just about like them kind of coming to terms with and this is really, I don't think spoiling anything, like coming to terms with Florence Pugh's character's cancer diagnosis during this and figuring out a way forward for themselves, and both from everybody's perspective, really, other than I'd say the child's. And did I cry during this movie? Yes, of course I did, multiple times. However, I think this movie falls into the good, but not great category. I think the script and the story here it's a touch on the basic side, kind of, and I'm curious to know, like, if the filmmakers were like, we know we have like a Hallmark movie sort of, so we're gonna now tell it non-linear to like spice it up a little bit and make it a little bit more exciting, which it did. I think it added to the experience of it. But I did think it was incredibly effective. And I think Florence Pugh and Andrew Garfield, the chemistry that those two people have on screen as this couple that meet, fall in love, become married, have children, is able to like convey, is just not easily done by anyone. Like, you believe these people as a couple, you kind of want to be this couple. And it just they're perfect, and it's perfect. And I wish that everything else surrounding it had been perfect, because it's very much about like, what kind of legacy do I want to leave? I know I'm dying. I know that my time here is short. And do I give up this time with my family? Do I to like take chemo and feel like trash for a year? Do I give up my time with this family to go and do this, like, because she's a chef in this movie, Florence Pugh's character? Do I give up my time in this movie to go and potentially do this very like world-renowned like chef or like cooking competition that is going to let my very young daughter remember me as something more than just her dead mother and shit? And I did like all of those elements, but there's just something about it that kept me at like a little bit at an arm's distance, but not fully. Like I said, I cried, but it just wasn't quite what I expected going in. I expected to have to be like wheeled out of the theater by the time it was over. But it is very good, and it's sweet, it's charming, it's funny, it's romantic, it is sexy at times, and it just is. It's a good movie for me. How about you, Mr. Hodge?
I'm the same way with this one. Whereas the chemistry is amazing. You know what you're in for.
Yeah,
and
they
like
let you know very early.
and I've seen this movie before, and I think the thing it was missing for me is like, I love them together. I love them interacting with each other. I didn't care about what they did outside of the relationship. Like, I think this does suffer from a little bit of bear fatigue, where I know that's a different thing for you, Chad, but
yeah, okay, right.
I was like,
dead.
wait, bear?
I am dead.
Bear.
sorry.
Bear. It's like
There's
there's
no
no
such
such
thing,
thing as
coach.
bear fatigue ever.
But like I think because you have a show like The Bear that's so impressive and all that, they line up Florence Pugh as this master cook and all that, and it's like, well, we've already seen all this, and we've already oohed and ah, and the yes chef, no chef. Like, I think we're over the chef part of it, and I think his job, like the two careers that they have, I didn't learn anything really new. So it's like, I think if you give each of them a different job or vocation, something where it's like we would feel, if you don't know about a job and they try and show you something new of this is what you're missing out on. I think that would have helped the story a lot. Whereas, yes, we're relying on the chemistry of two very good actors who are very attractive. Who,
and don't dismiss the chemistry, guys. The chemistry it's insane.
Oh,
Like, it's
spot
really
on.
truly
yes,
insane.
it's kind of like at the beginning of the whole Travis Kelce, Taylor Swift thing. Everybody was just like, yes, this is great. This is great. Like, you want two very attractive people to get together. And that's kind of what this is they're two very attractive and they're very talented. And they're telling a great story, but ultimately it's a borrow just because I like the people.
Yeah.
I like the product. I just didn't enjoy the journey.
Yeah. And I mean, I enjoyed the journey. It just wasn't quite the journey I thought it should be. I'm not going to spoil this, but there's a final scene in this where it's the family all together doing something that was kind of like shielded from Florence Pugh's past in this film.
Right.
And that would, I think, have been so much more effective to lean into something like that, where she's wanting to teach her daughter about this or show her this part of herself, as opposed to this, like, I mean, this is a very young girl we're talking about, and just doesn't understand like what mom is doing right now, even though that is mom's passion. Right. But there is something that used to be mom's passion that I think would have been more ripe for something that is just more memorable, more kind of exciting overall, more had more depth, honestly, than what this does. But I do think this is worth a watch, though, for sure. Like, if you like weepy dramedies, like, this is a Sunday afternoon on the sofa, eat an edible, and just lay there and just for a little bit.
Okay,
or at
so
least that's how I am.
Is this like a P.S. I love you?
Yeah, I would go with I would go somewhat down that road.
Like crying bitch movie.
Well,
and I mean that in not in a mean way.
P.S. I love you. If the main turning point of P.S. I love you happened later in the relationship.
Okay.
Like, I think when you add kids to it, it's a little bit different.
True.
And it's I think there was
actually
an old
way different.
Yeah, I think it's called My Life. I want to say with what was it, Michael Keaton, I believe, where it's basically like he's filming himself to teach his kid.
Okay.
You know, like, oh, this is how you shave. Familiar. This is all you that. We get one of these every 10 years, basically. For sure.
And honestly, like, as we know, I love A24, and this being released by A24, like, I think this is quite easily, like, of recent memory, like one of their most accessible things. This is sort of like a crowd, I mean, pleasing is a hard word, but it's just one of their most like crowd friendly films, because even though it does jump around in time and it takes just a second sort of to get used to that, I think you acclimate to it very, very quickly. You know, always where they're at in time based on what's happening, even though it's constantly jumping. And again, like I said, I think it uses that device to try to make this subject matter a little bit more interesting than what it really is. But yeah, this is also, it's a borrow for me.
It's a quick movie too.
And it is quick. It goes by quick, and it is entertaining. I thought it was very lovely.
Yep.
Like by the end of it, I thought it was extremely pleasant. yes, I cried, but it leaves you with this feeling of kind of hope in a way, and like a wistful hope.
Yeah, this is something that will blow up on streaming. It will do moderate at the box office. It's actually kind of not done great in the box
I don't think it's going to do
office,
great.
but it's a weird time to put it out too.
It was like me in a
Yeah,
theater with
right?
like one couple that was like
Yeah.
a male female couple, and then like 16 women, basically.
Yeah, to me, this is something you save for like. Well, I think maybe they were thinking like Oscar stuff because of the Florence Pugh and everything. But this to me screams like, hey, let's put this out in January when there's nothing out, and the star power alone will bring people to it.
Well, I mean, I think honestly, if this year hadn't been like, in my opinion, guys, I think this year has just been, we've been feasting on movies like horror, non-horror.
Oh, for real.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that in another year, the performances from like Florence Pugh and Andrew Garfield would absolutely like generate Oscar buzz. And I think they're worthy of that. But there's just so much competition this year and so many great things that, like, unfortunately, I think it is going to be left behind. But you can't deny, once you watch the movie, the chemistry that those two are able to create, because it's the kind of thing most filmmakers or directors would just absolutely kill to have between their two lead stars.
Yeah.
And this year is amazing. And also it's being done by small movies. Like, I just looked over my shoulder at my top 10 list, and I'm like, man, like there's not really anything huge on there.
Yeah, same. And even like, God, I think when we did our like top 5 partway through the year, like Dune 2 was kind of barely hanging on at that point, but it was still in my top 5. But it's not anymore for sure.
No, it's barely in my top 10.
Yeah, I mean, no, exactly. I'm really curious to know where my top 10 is going to end up this year, and it's just been a hell of a fucking year, guys. Like, in every way, I think. And I don't know how many movies you've seen this year, Coach, but I've seen probably about like 70-ish new releases, about like 55, 60 at the theater, something like that.
Yeah, I think I'm very close to that. I think you have me beat at the theater.
Okay.
There's weeks where I'll go four.
Yeah, it's my home, guys.
but yeah, I think I'm at about 50, and probably overall, gosh, I mean, you throw TV in there, it's a whole nother crazy bit. But yeah, I'm about close with you.
Okay. And yeah, I mean, it sounds like for Coach and I, this is definitely a borrow. This is not a movie I would want to watch like over and over again. But it is something I do recommend a watch. Again, It's not going to like change your life or your world or anything like that. But I think it is presented in such a lovely way that,
you know what,
it's kind of hard to deny, even though it does at times feel like a prestigious Hallmark film.
Well, no, I think actually you saying that actually hit it on the head. Is like, when this is over, I don't have I need to change this in my life, or I need to call my mom and tell her I love her. Or like I don't have that sense of urgency.
That's what's missing
with my own life afterward. It was just, that is kind of what's missing. Is I feel for these characters, but I don't necessarily like, Chad, I understand like it brings up your past, but does it change your future?
Yeah, no, exactly. And I think about that too. Like I with something like this, like I don't think it's trying to I don't think that's the message of it all. I think it is trying to, in a way, say, appreciate what you have, appreciate what's there in this moment, appreciate these like chance moments that you have to like make something with whatever it is, another person, another like thing that's happening in your life, or whatever it is. And I do like that. And I can't remember what movie it was recently. Oh God. What was the movie with My Old Ass?
My Old Ass, yeah. So to me, I watch My Old Ass and I'm like, Mom, I love you.
That's
Dad.
really a movie?
Oh God.
My Old
that
Ass?
movie, That
That is
movie made
a
me want to put a razor
fantastic
blade.
movie.
Yeah. That movie
But
made me want
Okay.
to die, but
yes,
I liked it.
but my old ass made I love it. My old ass made me want to be a better person. Like,
Yeah. No, it's true though. I mean, it's kind of like two sides of the same coin in a way. I think that We Live in Time is more overtly manipulative, kind of. It's
yes,
manipulating you from the beginning to have
the
certain
music
thoughts and
hits, and
feelings. And My Old Ass is manipulative, but in a slightly different way, and in a way that actually like would put that movie above this for me for sure.
Mhm.
It had a way more profound effect on me. That movie, like I messaged the guys after I left the theater, and I was like, "Oh my god, I've never wanted to die more than I want to fucking die now after seeing My Old Ass." But not in a bad way. Like, yeah, I'm emo and shit sometimes, but oh man, that movie killed me, and I expected that from We Live in Time, and this was a slightly like lovelier and more congenial experience dealing with heavy and dark and hard subject matter. So,
Okay.
all right, in the next movie, I know that Coach and I both saw, and I don't know how he feels about this, and I'm curious, is Conclave, directed by Edward Berger and starring Rafe Fiennes and Stanley Tucci. And I'm going to tell you guys now, I went into this movie knowing literally nothing about it, had not seen a trailer. I knew it was Oscar bait shit and some like Pope bullshit. And I'm not Catholic, so I'm not involved in that life in any way. And I just kind of expected some prestige like drama. And what I got was a political thriller about the election of a new pope that I thought was riveting. This was like for me, like by the end of it, I was like reaching toward the edge of my seat, like nudging closer and closer toward the edge of my seat as you just watch a bunch of like religious figures like try and elect a new pope. And there's this sort of trashy element to it that makes it really fun. And I know it's so weird to say all these words about like Pope and Catholicism, but there is a trashy element to it that worked for me. And I just thought this movie was fun as hell. And I just would never, that's like the last adjective I would have chosen to assume that I would say about Conclave.
They presented it as very high school, down to the lunchroom is like, the hot chicks sit with the hot chicks, and the jocks sit with the jocks, and everybody's split, and everybody's talking shit on everybody else. um
God.
it's kind of halfway between. There was a movie on Netflix called My Two Popes,
Okay.
which was actually based more in reality of the conversation of the current Pope and the last Pope. I attended a all boys private Catholic high school, Blazer
All right.
Boys style. So like I was well versed in this. However, I was also the kid that was kicked out of CCD for asking, if God's so merciful, why'd he flood the earth? So my C card is not
Your
accepted.
C card. I hate you.
But I was well versed in theology and actually found it very interesting, the theology and philosophy of it. So I love the pomp and circumstance. I love the tradition that they show throughout the whole thing. They do kind of show their hand a little bit. I think the filmmaker shows his hand a little bit at the beginning, where it's kind of like, oh, then I kind of, where's this coming from? Oh, I know where this is going to go.
Yeah.
But
I agree
overall,
with that.
there is some good suspense. The ultimate daddy, Stanley Tucci, is just killing it in it. It's, I would say it's a borrow.
Okay.
I'm not going to give away the ending, but I don't think the ending didn't need the cherry on top that they presented it with.
Okay. Very interesting.
I think if you serve this sundae without the cherry, I think it's just as good, maybe if not better, because of how the masses will see this movie.
Okay. Yeah, I'm about to, well, I mean, I guess nobody really knows us quite like that. And I would have guessed that Coach probably enjoyed this ending more than probably I did, but I loved this ending and the balls that it took to present this ending. I know it's based on like a novel or whatever, which I,
Yes.
of course, have not read. But I was like, oh, people are going to be pissed about this motherfucking movie. People are going to be pissed as fuck. And I kind of admired it for that. Like, I like things that push buttons in a way and not like.
See, that's why I like the Tooch character. So with Tucci versus the Waz, the he's basically the villain of the thing.
Yeah.
The Italian Waz. Like you have, like,
I love him though. Yeah.
You have the conservative side of the church, and you have the more liberal side of the church. You know, the Waz wants everything should be in Latin, and everybody's going to hell, but
yep.
And Tooch is just like, everybody's great, and everybody's going here, and everybody's going to heaven. It's wonderful.
Sure.
But yeah, I think the part that we will probably talk about in weeks to come is like, I 100% respect that point of view.
Sure.
And you know what? I think it's maybe more of a fear of how it would be perceived than my perception.
Yeah. I get that for sure, because I think it will not be perceived well. And when I went to see this, which was like in the middle of the afternoon on like the Thursday that it released or whatever, I had like a 30% full theater, I would say.
Okay.
And it was like me and like a bunch of fucking, what was your girl's name from this fucking
Dolores?
Substance? Yeah, a bunch of Dolores, man. God, good Lord.
Dolores.
Yeah, right, Dolores. Yes. It was me and a bunch of fucking like Dolores, and I was like, oh shit. And like as you near toward the end and like you get those like final revelations and shit, people were like audibly reacting to that. And I was like, oh man, this movie is gonna piss everybody off. And
oh
again,
man, I want to watch it now.
It's fun.
Is it supposed to piss people off that are deeply religious, or people that are not, or people both? Which one?
I'm gonna guess yes to
all of the above.
Yes.
Okay.
Like it's not a scathing takedown of the church. It's more of a, you know.
I think the word that
criticisms.
I think the word you're gonna hear the most from people who criticize it is the word woke.
Right.
And I hate that word personally. Okay.
Especially when people don't know how to use it.
Correct.
Like very few, I mean, keep going. I'm sorry.
No.
That's right.
I would like
sing it, sister, because we have been down this road.
I mean, listen, there's just people throwing out the term woke is like Nazi at this point.
Right.
To be fair, a lot of shit is woke or kind of ridiculous, but just let me watch it. I don't need to know, because half the shit people say is woke is really not, unfortunately. I mean, it's just like, I don't know.
And
I think people are a little too sensitive now.
No, I'm going to fall onto the side of this not being woke. No, because having crossed a certain line, yes, it would have been woke, but the way that they handled it here,
was not.
No, it's not agenda driven. It's not.
No, I agree.
And one of the actual standouts to me is Isabella Rossellini as like the head nun who has to kind of cater to all of these stuffy old men as they are going through their circumstance.
Yeah, I agree. 100%. And yeah, like by the end of it, like it just, like I said, this is a political thriller. So you're watching like sides that disagree, sides that are at odds constantly with each other about like the direction that this church and like kind of like by proxy, like you could lean it into modern day and like where this country should go.
Sure.
And it's never, even with the ending, in my opinion, I don't think this is ever heavy-handed. I
No.
think it is.
I was about to ask that. Did it feel heavy-handed?
No, it's pulpy. It's fun. It's a
But
thriller.
it's a search for piety, and like they do go through like the this guy made this mistake, this guy made this mistake, but it is ultimately searching for in their heart who is the pious out of all
Right.
of us.
And they also say during that process that in choosing a new pope, you do want someone who has been an actual like human being, a real person,
Right.
Yeah. Oh,
who
yeah.
has sinned and been
Flaws.
forgiven and
Yeah.
all of that kind of shit. And for me, honestly, it really worked. And considering, I guess, maybe like the side of Twitter that I tend to be aligned with and shit, like maybe that wouldn't be the answer you would expect, but
The stuff that shows up on my timeline.
yeah, exactly. Oh God, probably because of me. But yeah, it just really it blew me away. Like I just didn't expect to be this entertained by something that, again, I hadn't watched the trailer or any of that shit, but looked so stuffy from the outside and just really isn't. It's just not stuffy at all. It's beautifully shot. The like imagery I think is beautiful. The storytelling I think it's like this beautiful like art house sort of like imagery and like what you expect when you hear those words mixed with this like pulpy thriller sort of like not action driven but like dialogue driven thriller aspect of everything that again it had me on the edge of my seat. And this is for me probably something that I would maybe buy because I just had such a good time watching this movie and would watch it definitely again and
This was
again and again.
It was done by the guy who did last year's All Quiet on the Western Front.
Yes.
Which was just to me an amazing directorial undertaking. So like the guy knows how to tell a story. He knows how to like keep you in it. I mean, that was a super long movie, and he kept.
And this is the less serious between the two for sure.
Oh, 100%. But but he keeps you in it the whole time. You're not like, if this was the days of VHS, you would not be fast forwarding through.
No, absolutely not.
Yeah.
And this too, like I said, I posted a short like out of theater reaction for this, and from like kind of the moment it started until the end, I was truly gripped by this, and I felt myself becoming like more gripped by it throughout the experience. I don't think this is going to end up in my like top 10 of the year.
No,
but this is a highly recommend for me and something I'm kind of like, I haven't seen any discourse on this, and I'm kind of curious about that. But I think it has overperformed a little bit from what they've
just staying under the radar enough to I think avoid the criticism. I mean, budget 20 million. It's already made 8.4.
Okay.
I mean, like this
is for the Doloreses of the world who don't go see The Substance.
Like this is a film that will make money, so everybody can be happy about. Like, all right, we told a story, we did a message, we did something we're proud of, we made money. There'll be awards. Great.
Yep.
Everybody wins.
And a final thought here too, like I think Ralph Fiennes I think he's a standout here. He is a knockout in this performance, and I would love to see him be nominated for this. And Stanley Tucci as a best supporting actor. Stanley Tucci has this quality where he kind of, I hate to say this because it sounds derogatory, but he kind of always comes across as the same person in a way.
Yes. But he's
not. Yeah. And
I know.
And God, that's why he's so fucking great. Love him.
The Tooch is always someone. I was introduced to the Tooch by The Big Night.
Okay.
Which is an old 1996. It was an indie darling about it is him and Tony Shalhoub, and they're basically trying to get this restaurant off the ground.
Okay.
And it is a just bang, 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 bang. It's great. I mean, it's like a who's who. Also from this, Isabella Rossellini, Liv Shriver, Minnie Driver, Mark Anthony. Like, it's Ian Holm, Allison Janney, you name it, they're in this movie. And it's just absolutely great. Done by, it was actually directed by Tucci and Campbell Scott. So
Okay.
that's probably my biggest recommendation coming out of Conclave is to check out The Big Night.
And I wish I could remember the name of it, guys, but there's like some weepy fucking like drama with Stanley Tucci from like a few years ago that I don't know the name of, but yeah, just Stanley Tucci. If he's in it, it's a mark of quality in my opinion, and just watch it. And this is no exception for me, and it sounds like for Mr. Coach as well. So
100%.
All right, and then last week, as we promised, guys, we were going to get into some Halloween recommends, but I talk way fucking too much, and we had to talk about The Substance, which still is my favorite film of the year, so I couldn't shut up about it. But tonight we are going to give you some of our go-to like Halloween recommended films, and I always thought this was such a fun idea because Carly and I are a little bit more horror people. Coach is not, and then Brad, who's not here, he's not with us any longer.
Just tonight.
Yeah, just for the night though.
Tonight.
Yeah, just not with us for the night. Is like kind of between maybe us. And yeah, I just thought this was such a fun idea to do because there's something I want to defend so badly. And maybe I'll start actually with that and then we'll move into Carly. But my Halloween watch that I think people need to give a little bit more grace to is Halloween Ends. Yes, this Halloween. I know everybody feels that way. I love Halloween Ends. I loved it when I first saw it in the theater. I enjoyed mostly this new like trilogy from 2018 on. And while I wish, and we're spoiling the fuck out of this, guys, so sorry. If you haven't seen Halloween Ends, it's too late. Oh, okay, she says don't.
Love it.
Sorry, I'm just kidding. Go.
No, I think that's the mentality of most people, and I get it for sure. But I think it took such a big swing with the franchise because 2018 is trying to build off of just that like original film. And then Kills comes literally in that same night right after. And then Ends is a few years later, but in that same timeline. And I get why people hate it because it took such a big swing. It introduces a character that is not Michael Myers, that is sort of like kind of like trying to take over for Michael Myers. And I get why that's controversial, but on the same side of the coin, like I see people bitch all the time, like do something new with this franchise, do something new. And Halloween 2018 and Kills didn't really do that. Even though I enjoyed those. But Ends like kind of came out swinging, in my opinion, with this like ballsy, bold concept for Halloween that I wish admittedly had been presented earlier in the timeline, like in 2018. I wish we had met Corey Cunningham and kind of got to know him a little bit like throughout this series. But I still like I left this, and God, this is unsubscribe from Scene Invaders now, guys. This is one of my favorite Halloween sequels.
Oh, Chad.
I love it, man.
I love you still. I love you still.
I love it. I love the feel of it. I love the John Carpenter vibes of it all. I love the Christine. So John Carpenter also, of course,
I get that.
More people know, directed Christine. It showed this like reverence for him as a director, and referencing that film in a Halloween film, that it just worked for me. Like, it's not perfect, it's not technically amazing maybe, but it's one of now like the Halloween sequels I'll probably end up watching the most, I think, because I just had an exceptionally good time with this movie, and I've watched it a number of times since, and every time I leave it, like I kind of feel a little bit stronger about it even, and I'm like, this is a good Halloween film. But
I gotta be honest with you, now that I'm kind of thinking about it, I mean, if I were to rewatch it, I feel like I would definitely enjoy it more than what was the Halloween Kills? Is that the middle one?
Yeah, that's the middle.
Okay. I feel like I would enjoy it more than that one, but it's just that. Oh my goodness. I
Yeah.
just, yeah, I do appreciate that they really swung for the fences, but I feel like they could have really set it up better.
Yeah. I mean,
But
because you
yeah,
do come out of nowhere. Like when you're kind of presenting your like new film series as a trilogy based off the original, you get to this third entry and you're kind of expecting it to sort of like pick up where the previous two like where it
right.
makes sense. And this one it doesn't really make sense with the previous two. But
Yeah.
I don't know. There was just something about the boldness that I like the comfort factor of it. Like not every movie has to be comforting or like something I can watch like 100 times, but that's exactly how I felt after Halloween Ends. I was like, I could watch this movie just on repeat. Like this is like a go-to sort of now new like Halloween film for me. And
Yeah.
I'm also going to come out of the closet now, guys, and say that I did not love the Rob Zombie Halloween, but Halloween 2 from Rob Zombie, I really, really like as well because it also takes incredibly bold, big swings that I thought kind of like just worked for the franchise and like it kept it from being stagnant and it pushed things forward for me. And I know that's a hell of a take, and not many people are going to agree with me on that one. But man, Halloween 2 from Rob Zombie kind of like sits sort of there with Ends in a way as like just this ballsy as fuck, like horror fuck you for like a franchise lover of something. And yeah, so that's my first one, guys. We're coming out the gate hard. What about you, Miss Carly? What's a good Halloween recommendation for you?
Oh God. I mean, I don't know. I've got a couple, but the first thing that comes to mind is I always make sure. I mean, shit, I'm gonna watch The Thing at least a couple of times per year.
It's a
Um,
masterpiece.
oh yeah, but I mean, other than that, if we're gonna go with something kind of silly, Killer Clowns from Outer Space is my
Oh,
other
love
It's
it.
go-to.
so good.
This is so good. So
It is
yeah,
good.
that's definitely we watch that at least once a year. It's one of my son's favorite movies.
So last Halloween, I was in the front office, and when I do work in the front office, I kind of throw on a movie just to educate all the youngins. So last Halloween, we did a triple feature of, um, oh gosh, um, Young Frankenstein, and then we
Okay.
did Killer Clowns from Outer Space, and that was the big hit.
Hell
Um,
yeah.
Followed by Little Shop of Horrors.
Mm.
Okay.
And that was like because you have to be in a weird kind of PG 13
Sure.
Oh
area.
yeah.
Yeah, it
Um,
can't be like graphic for the kids.
Yeah, no.
but like just three complete. I've never even heard of this. I got to see Carly. You'll love this. Killer Clowns from Outer Space, 35 millimeter on the big screen.
Oh my
So,
gosh.
so there's a theater near me that I'm a member of where The Blob was filmed back in the 60s.
He has a
Okay.
hat to prove it, and I'm
So
jealous of the hat.
like when you're actually like when the Blob's coming out and everybody's running in the theater, that is the Colonial Theater in Phoenixville.
Oh
Been
wow.
there since like 1903, has a huge pipe organ and everything, and they'll do old scary movies. They'll do
Mhm.
Italian Splatterfest Weekend 24 hours, but they did a 35 millimeter print, full house,
Oh
400
yeah, of
plus
Oh, I
course.
seats,
bet.
and it was absolutely amazing, the energy in that place.
I
I mean,
love that movie
it's a
so
treat
much.
of cinema, I think.
Oh
It
yeah,
really
It's
is.
it seems like even like kind of more recently, it's really started to get the accolades I think it deserves. Like I think it's always been loved ish, but it seems like now people are really, really like, oh
Yeah,
yeah,
I'm
Killer
actually
Clowns
really
is
surprised that all that stuff is like actually released at what's it called? Spirit Halloween. Every time I
hmm
go in there, I
yeah.
was like, oh my God, they've got their own section now. I
hmm
never thought I'd see that. It's like, oh my
Like
God, what a treat.
I do
We're
think this generation doesn't have camp; they have trolls.
yeah.
And
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Where like the idea of what camp is, and a lot of it actually kind of comes from the underground of it, and now it's just you don't have camp anymore because everything's just so out in the open.
Sure.
No. And then you have people trying to do camp, and it's like, no, you can't do that.
Right.
It just has to be.
Camp just has to be.
Is or
Yeah,
it isn't.
Right.
exactly.
Ugh.
Right. You have to be Tommy Wiseau believing that the room is going to be the most
Yes.
amazing thing,
Right.
and you have to believe it. And the guys that made Killer Clowns from Outer Space, they thought that they were making this great, amazing film, which ultimately it turned
did.
out that they
It
did.
is, but yeah.
Yeah.
The journey along the way was the
Mhm.
but also, I mean, look at something like I think it's Carly that mentioned The Thing. Like when it came out, it was not well received.
Oh, I know. Everybody
Mhm.
hated it. They thought it was gross, and it was like,
and now it's like a
ugh. I was like, that's
masterpiece
awesome.
of like horror filmmaking. So yeah. I don't know if I would call Killer Clowns a masterpiece of horror filmmaking, but I do love it, and I would recommend it to anyone that likes horror, literally anyone, because it's fun as shit.
Yes.
How about you, Mr. Coach? What's a good recommendation for you?
No, go ahead, Carly. You had another one?
Oh, I was just going to say one more, and this is just because of stop motion, which
Oh.
I liked aspects of stop motion, but I honestly have to say I liked it better when it was called May, which
May is amazing.
Anna
by
Faris?
Lucky
Ugh.
McKee.
Yes, it's
Angela
so
Bettis.
good.
And
Okay.
Anna Faris is in it too. Anna Faris
Okay.
is in it.
Mhm.
But yeah, Jeremy Sisto, and it's directed by Lucky McKee. And I love that movie. I always recommend it, and it's perfect for Halloween too, because I want to say that the end actually takes place on Halloween, and she goes trick-or-treating, and I won't spoil anything, but I would definitely recommend that movie. It's great.
I don't know if this is spoilers or not, but there is a sequence in that film where Angela Bettis is like crawling through glass, and it's so like harrowing and horrible and
Yeah,
horrifying.
that part is awful.
And it's great. I'm with you on that 100%. It's a great horror film that's been overlooked. I mean, I think the people that know, but for like the mainstream and the masses and shit, like May has been overlooked as fuck and should not be.
That was a
so
movie
good.
that when I had my video stores, we had like only a couple copies. And I just remember looking it up one day, and it was like the amount of money that we made on 2 copies of May.
Okay, right.
Like it was just constantly out. It was great.
Oh wow, that's awesome.
Like basically, yeah, it came out in 2002. So like we had 4 years, and that thing, like, you buy it for $15, and I want to say it made something like $500.
Oh wow.
Wow.
Yeah.
It's a good one.
Yeah, I agree 100%. And honestly, like, let me go ahead and recommend this now. There is a Carrie made for TV version starring Angela Bettis that I think is
okay.
Oh, it's way better than anyone had any right to expect, like hearing made for TV. And yeah, it's highly recommended. It's very, very good. May, Carrie,
so good.
TV version. Yeah, let's do it.
Angela Bettis is awesome.
Yeah, definitely. I'm with it. How about you, Mr. Coach?
Break out the red lipstick
Uh-huh.
and find a place to go see Rocky Horror Picture Show.
Yeah.
Yes, it's great to see it, to just see it on DVD or streaming. Now, not the live for TV version. We want the true blue one.
Oh yes.
And there's some parts of the live one that I'm like, okay, but go and let your freak flag fly and just absolutely enjoy it. Just forget it. Like it's funny. As a coach, you always tell the kids, like, listen, when you're here, you're here. You don't have girlfriends, you don't have parents, you don't have schoolwork. Like, you're just here. You're playing. That's what Rocky Horror is. Like,
Sure.
you just let everything else go, and for 2 to 3 hours, depending on the way that they present it, just absolutely you're in another world and enjoy it. It's not scary Halloween. Is it dress up Halloween? Yeah, it can be. I'm not at that level, but
It's fun though.
it's just fun.
Yeah, I'm with you. And the music, I think, it's just memorable, man. It's memorable, like it's earworm type of shit that you can't unhear once you've heard it, and it sticks in your head, I think, for the rest of your life.
And it's just
So
one
do
of
they
those
have
things.
like do they have like a troupe that does the like a live
Oh, you're gonna
kind
love
of performance? Okay,
this.
because
So,
I have a story to tell too after yours.
so our Frank is 6'4", 330.
Oh wow, okay. He's a big guy.
So the initial reveal of him walking down the middle of the aisle with the cloak on, and just he walks up the stairs, and the turn and reveal is just absolute great. So yeah, the Phoenixville transvestites put on the show every year, and this year was actually really good because there was a lot of newer people. So you got to hear like the people that just know the things to shout out.
Oh yeah.
Nail the jokes. Like I can nail asshole, slut, and all that, and a couple of the other things. And like every now and then I'll get like one. But like there's people that just know it and know the timing of it perfectly.
Did they ask for the virgins?
Oh yes. Well, that's the
Right.
fun is you always bring a couple people like, oh no, yeah, no, we're just putting a red V on your forehead. Don't worry about it.
You're fine.
You're fine. No. Next thing you know, they're on stage and they're performing sex noises as a cartoon character. Like,
oh yeah,
it's just great. But
No.
sorry, I didn't mean to step on your Rocky story.
Oh no. I was just gonna say that we have a troupe that does it locally, like every Friday night, at the Plaza at the Atlanta
Damn.
Theater. It's
Mhm.
called Lips Down on Dixie, and I've seen them perform. They're really great. It's kind of a, if you live in the area, you kind of at least have to go once. You know, it's really cool though.
Now, as a
Lips
parent,
down on Dixie. I love it.
Yeah.
as a parent, when do you expose the kids to it?
Oh God. I mean, my daughter, I could probably let her watch it now. She's 12.
Yeah.
She's about to be 13.
Right.
But probably my son, I'd probably wait until he's about 11 or 12. So I don't know. Maybe.
Yeah.
He
that
probably
feels
wouldn't be
very
that
fair,
interested
for
in
sure.
it though.
Right.
But it's not like violent enough for him, you know. It's not cool. There's not enough action. So
Yeah,
He needs like limbs being sawed off. Like
he does. He needs like people flipping and fighting and all sorts of
Me.
stuff, all kinetic stuff.
Like we
Oh,
always
yeah.
try and bring new people every year. I always get a bunch of tickets because I'm a member there. And it's like, okay, we need to bring 2 new straight people and 2 people that we know will just instantly get in. So like we've gone from a group of like 4 to like we're like a group of like 18 now. And it's just because it's a yearly thing, so that makes it also a little easier.
If you don't bring me with you on one of these, I'm going to be real upset. That's what I'm saying.
Well, so next year I think we're going to do the balcony. So because this is
Oh.
one of those old school theaters, and we have never done the
Nice.
balcony,
Okay.
and just throwing toast down is
And
just
rice.
and rice is a whole nother fun thing.
No, I'm into it.
Awesome.
Okay, so my next one is going to be actually a music recommendation, guys. And it is an album from an artist called the Haxan, Haxan Cloak, called Excavation. And I know this is a little bit unusual because it is not a movie choice, but this is the kind of shit that you could play as trick-or-treaters come and would sound just absolutely terrifying. It's like an
Okay.
electronic artist that is kind of like ambient electronic. The first time that I played this for a friend like several years ago, they were like, "Oh my god, this is the kind of shit I want to turn up like full blast," as someone like broke into my house and I'm like now hunting them down with a gun to kill them because it's that kind of like sort of like creepy, scary, and yeah, it's a highly recommend. Is it like like ride in the car? Recommend? No. I mean, if you're that kind of person, maybe yes, but this is
Oh,
like,
come on. You don't like to get down to Halloween music? No, I'm kidding.
and right. I mean, right. I mean, I can see people who probably do roll in the car like to this kind of shit. This like weird ambient electronic, like horror sounding, like intense, scary at times music, and I
Takes all
generally do not.
kinds.
Yeah, it takes all kinds. I generally don't. However, have I listened to this like laying on the sofa sometimes at night? Oh yes, of course, for sure. But yeah, it's a good one. And then another film recommendation for me is going to be Cobweb
Oh,
from
yeah.
have you seen it?
I have.
Okay, from same director Samuel Bowden. This is okay. So this creates a little bit of like a for me, if everyone understands that like space that represents. It's a perfect in many ways like Halloween horror film, but what like with like one caveat that it comes close to ruining the experience for me, and it's with some like digital creature effects that just don't
Okay.
work in my opinion. However, everything that leads up to that is so good. It's
Yeah,
so
genuinely creepy.
creepy, like parents that you don't know if they're good or not, like a kid you don't know if he's good or not. And this is like it's kind of top tier Halloween entertainment, even though some of it's going to work for some and some of it is not going to. But yeah, Cobweb, man, like I saw it in the theater. I think they just kind of dumped it into theaters at a time when a bunch of other shit was coming out, and they were like, we'll play it in a few things and just see. And I happened to catch it in a theater without really knowing much about it, and it worked for me. And like I guess I'm saying now, this becomes sort of a Halloween go-to because like the fall and Halloween and like late year vibes are so filthy in this movie that it's hard to it's just hard to not be into it, I guess, even though you have some maybe downsides to it. And I have other friends who don't see the things that I see as downsides, but for me, if you know me, guys, uh, it's questionable, but yeah, Cobweb, fuck, it's good as fuck.
Yeah, I feel like that's a really fair assessment. Did you know that that bully kid is actually Gary Busey's son? That's
Oh,
not his grandson. That's his son.
Wait, Jake
holy
Busey?
shit.
That's no, not Jake. I'm
Okay.
sorry. Fucking what's his name? Fucking Gary Busey. I'm sorry. Gary Busey's son. It is not his grandson.
Oh my god. And you also have
I know.
Homelander. I don't know who plays Homelander.
Mark, is it Mark Starr
Something
or something?
Star.
Anthony
Yeah.
Starr.
Anthony
Yeah,
Starr.
that feels right.
Killing it on mobile app game commercials right now. Oof.
And
Yeah, he is.
Woof.
and then Lizzie Kaplan, is that right? Lizzie Kaplan
I
is
think
the
so, yeah.
mother. Yeah. Oh my
He was
god.
in
Like
yeah,
they
I
create
like
this
her.
sense they create this sense of unease through this movie that does take place very
It's
like
very effective.
decidedly around Halloween time about like what's real, what's not, what's happening, what isn't. And like 75% of this, like it works so fucking hard for me, and
I
it
agree.
goes hard, and till you get sort of an answer and a reveal that
Yep.
just doesn't work quite as well for me, and like the visuals of that don't work as well for me. But I think everything
Still
that
pretty
leads up,
creepy.
yeah, but everything that leads up to that is so strong and so good and so smart and well handled that, yeah, Cobweb, guys, for real. Any other recommendations, Carly?
Oh goodness. Well, I think that obviously Shaun of the Dead, if you're
Oh,
looking for something funny, that's a good go-to.
I just saw the like
Um
20th anniversary re-release in theaters. Yeah, it's
oh,
great.
I bet that was good.
It was.
I love that movie. But
That's one of those great ones to see in the theater again, just because all the jokes hit. And it, like, yeah,
oh yeah.
you can watch it yourself and you laugh, but like, there's just nothing like seeing that something like that when where you know everybody's going to react at certain points.
Sure. It's the reason sometimes, honestly, like side tangent, that I watch like reaction videos to album reactions and shit that I watch on Twitter, or not on
Dude,
Twitter, on YouTube, because I'm like,
Mhm.
oh, anyone who's into this the way that I am is going to like react at this point to this. And yeah, it
uh,
gives me
I
joy.
fell into a hole of that the other day when you and I were texting back and forth with the Bruno Mars song.
Yeah.
Like, I wanted everybody the Rose Bruno Mars song. Was see how everybody is
It's
just as good? Is
so,
this real? Is this real life?
no, it's good. Definitely.
Oh man. Well, I guess hopefully everybody's going to enjoy their Halloween. Are either you guys giving out candy?
Oh yeah. My husband is going to give out the candy while
Okay.
I walk with my son, and of course my daughter's going to go with friends. So
She's too old now for
she's
you,
too
girl.
cool.
All
She's
right.
too
Yeah.
cool. Yeah,
Yeah.
too cool for her
I
mom.
What are the
for
kids being this year?
So my daughter she is a Scream, like
Okay.
ghost face variant. She's
Okay.
got some kind of red mask. I don't know. It was something that was at Spirit Halloween. I can't keep up with it all now. So
okay,
some
right.
kind of red face, ghost face. And then my son is going to be like a skull reaper type thing with a scythe. So I'm going to
Okay.
go with him dressed as a skeleton.
Awesome.
Mr. Coach, you said you bought like full size candy bars, right?
Yeah. Hit the
Ooh.
Costco full size candy bar. So I'll be giving out full size candy at the rink because by the time I get home, there should not be anybody trick or treating. So we'll do it at the rink here, and I'll put a bowl outside my door.
There you go.
No need for the direct interaction with the kids. Just take a little candy. Don't bother me.
For
Now, how long does
whatever,
that last?
It depends. So I'm gonna probably put it out about 6 o'clock, which is after all the little kids are done, and we're actually very
Okay.
light on Halloween. A lot of teams just aren't really practicing or playing, so it's mainly a lot of the girls will grab it because they do the whole thing as a team rather than go out and do the teenage party thing. If
Okay.
Halloween's on a Friday, it's a whole nother thing.
yeah.
But with it being a Thursday here, yeah, I think it'll probably last a couple hours.
Okay.
Okay.
No, that feels
Not
good.
bad.
Like, I'm gonna say, as an adult, I've never lived somewhere that actually got like trick or treat traffic.
Okay.
It's always been mostly apartments, and then I've lived in a couple like single family homes, but we didn't get Halloween traffic in those homes.
Yeah.
So I am kind of divorced from this reality in a lot of ways, and I'm okay with it.
I was
Like,
about to say you're very lucky because we have so many kids that live in our neighborhood, so we have to buy a lot of candy.
I mean, I think there's something that's like incredibly fun about it, or could be fun, but I just haven't
Oh yeah, they
experienced it, so I don't know that level of fun yet. But you should play the Hacks and Cloak excavation while the trick or treaters come to your home, because they're going to be
Okay.
scarred as fuck. Like when they leave your home, like, oh, that was a scary house. Fuck, I don't know if I like those neighbors. And that's exactly what I would be going for. I'm like, you can come here now, but never during any other time of the year. And that's the
Right.
energy I'd be trying to give off. Like.
Nice.
Yeah, and that's how I roll, guys. And guys, thank you so much for coming back to Seed Invaders podcast and increasing the views, or I guess listens is the better way to put it, of what we've gotten lately. It seems like y'all are taking a little bit of a hold of us, and we're hoping we're taking a little bit of a hold of you. And yeah, it's a good time, guys, for real.
So let's hold
That's
each other.
not
Let's hold each other. Yeah, read on the socials.
I love you, Chad.
It sounded ominous, like especially saying Brad's not with us anymore.
Oh.
For those of you who love the Canadian Wood, it will be back next week, and we're looking forward for its return. Feel free to hit us on all the socials, whether it's YouTube or on. Or Twitter, or all the other various links. Also check out our partners, Seed Invaders recap channel. They're doing some great work now with the TV show From.
Okay, why are you killing this shit more than I am? Because I just set my vape down. But that's real. And honestly, like all of our shit's gonna be in the description. Carly, of course, in description. And yeah, appreciate it as fuck, guys. We couldn't love you all more, and that's why we do this shit. That's why we sit here every fucking Wednesday night and just talk bullshit for a little while. And happy Halloween, guys.
Happy Halloween.
Yes, happy Halloween.
Did that work? Hold on.
Yeah, you're good.
No, we're
Wait. We're recording, right?